What's this closed public meeting and, never mind. I got it. So tell me when Heath and Misty is going to, attend.
I saw that.
Yeah, you guys all saw that. I'm not sure we really will talk about item number 2, but I put it on there for just.
Yeah, that's all I'm talking about, what we have.
Yeah, we may not talk about it, but I at least got it on there, so if we want to talk about it, we could.
So will these be coming up next week as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it all depends on what he tells us
Okay.
about the creation of the community
Yes.
development department and, job descriptions, we'll look at it.
Okay.
And we're gonna talk about the impact fees that went on today,
Right.
like 2 hours ago, right, and the ordinances went on, sometime earlier today. When I found the thing from May and I said, okay, I better put all these ordinances on. So, Darlene sent me an email with clean copies of the 3 ordinances from May, and so I just uploaded them while I'm sitting here.
Oh,
She just sent them to me like right before I left the house. Okay, I did not bring my fan on purpose because we're gonna be sitting here in this.
Are you done, Peter? It's not hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's
Push it down, push, down, down, down. That's how you work there. And then push down. Okay.
I've done that a million times and then, well, the other day it stopped working because it was frozen.
Well, that's fixed.
Okay, so who's online? Anybody?
Just 2 residents, but no, Heath or Missy.
Okay, Keith, and tell them we're waiting.
on closed session, folks?
No,
Okay,
we were gonna do the open stuff first.
okay. He only needs to be for the polls.
No, he wants to talk to us about the ordinances.
Okay.
So on these impact fees, is that what we've been going by?
No,
You want it?
So these impact fees don't mean anything.
no, we've never done adopted, right? Because
So you wanna know
here
for what?
is 2005 when we adopted fees.
Okay,
We haven't adopted any fees since then.
okay, so the ones that are
20
set
years
up
ago,
in here,
it's
we're
been
looking at.
20 years we've been charging the same impact fees. And 5 years ago, they did the impact fee study. And they went through all those town council meetings, reviewing it, but you have to adopt them by ordinance, and we never did that. So if you look at the difference between what those fees are and what we're charging now, I mean,
Well, this is
how much money have we lost over 5 years?
So even 2019, that's 6 years.
Yeah, but it was
This
the
would've been
end of
later.
September 19,
Yeah,
it was the
so
end of 2019, and it was like the
late.
beginning of like January 2020,
Right,
when they actually reviewed it and
so we
said,
really lost 5 years.
so we really lost 5
Regardless, it's in the hundreds.
of dollars that we
Or
would,
more.
or more that we would.
Well, I think it doesn't pass hundreds now.
Really?
Yeah.
Plural hundreds, so.
Yeah. Well,
So I asked what to do, I think I asked Keith, yes, I did, I talked to Keith about it, and he said we could just do an ordinance or nothing. Now, they can only go forward, we can't go back.
So would we want to change those? Are they, what we want to charge, or what we want to?
Well, we wanna do a new impact fee study,
Oh, yeah.
but remember, when we sent out.
Keith is on, Keith.
Okay. All right, what about Misty? Is she not on yet?
Misty's not on yet, might take her a minute or so, but Keith is on.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and start the meeting. So it is Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, and it is 6:06 p.m. And we're starting the work meeting of the Virgin Town Council. So let's see, I put this aside, because this is 2019. Can you hear us, Heath? Hello?
Keith, are you there? Keith? Keith, you're on mute. You unmute?
Okay, well, he can probably hear us and he'll probably can. So the impact fees from 2019. Rod did the study at the request of the town council back in 2019. And presented, they had, got minutes showing that they had meetings, the town council meetings, he presented the findings of the impact fee study. They discussed it in further meetings, and then later they said, what did the actual minutes say that you were reading? They didn't say that they adopted the fee schedule, the impact fee study, they said you were reading the minutes.
Oh, they,
You were reading them just like 5 minutes ago. Weren't you reading the minutes?
no, I was reading not the impact fee schedule.
Parking.
I was just reading the.
No, the parking thing, okay, I thought you were reading something
No,
about
but
this.
when we read it, they were talking.
Okay, go ahead. So anyway, they had a meeting sometime in like the beginning of 2020, saying, okay, we're gonna adopt these fees, but they didn't do an ordinance, which is required by law. All they said is we're adopting fees, nor did they ever go and amend the fee schedule to implement the new impact fees.
They were waiting on a resolution in minutes, remember?
It's an ordinance.
Yeah, I know, they
State
didn't know.
code says ordinance, not
Right.
resolution. So the resolution is amending the fee schedule, but not adopting the impact fees
And that's where
pursuant
they
to
were
a
messed
study.
up.
And so nothing ever got implemented. And so it's been 5 years where we've been charging fees that, we could have been charging more for everything. So anyway, we wanted to do an impact fee study this year. We sent it out for bid, RFPs, we would have gotten these just like this, but we got none. Nobody responded to the impact fee study. And what happened is when we told people to say, why have you not? They said, well, we need to do the park study first. Because then that will affect,
Oh,
Impact.
yeah, that makes sense.
and there's the stormwater study. They said, you're doing the stormwater study, you're doing the park study, you're doing this study.
Yeah.
And they said, all of that is gonna affect your impact fees, so let's put that off into the impact fee study later. So this right here won't even be done until June of next year. And then the stormwater study will be done sometime toward the end of this year. So we're talking a year from now before we will even send out for an RFP on the impact fees. So in the meantime, we might as well
Absolutely.
use these other fees that we're not charging. So and when I had talked to Heath, he had said that we could adopt them and just move forward. And so that is what this is just to show you guys what the fees should be. And, in your study, you showed the 11,000. Let me find this, let me pull this up. Oh, no, that's.
Which one are we looking at?
I'm trying to find the right one.
The summary, impact fee summary.
Actually, I'm looking at it just said it says impact fee per one ERC, that's what I just pulled up.
Yeah.
Well, then let's see what the impact fee summary said. Is he still,
Yeah, no, Keith's online. Keith, can you hear us?
I'm on, I can hear you.
okay, just checking. Okay, so not the impact fee summary, I'm looking at the thing that says impact fee per one ERC. And it shows current impact fee $11,397. And I don't know what happened between 2005 and 2019, But in 2005, the total impact fees were 11,800, so I don't know where 500 of that went.
Who put this together? This little,
He,
Yeah, that's.
he did this, no. Rod did this study 5 years ago.
no, I mean, who put this little,
Rod
spreadsheet
did,
together?
Rod did. This
It's
was
part of, it's part of the
Oh,
study.
I see.
It was part of his study.
So there were no impact fees for wastewater, I mean, and then they proposed 3,500.
Right, we had no,
Okay.
do you see the page we're looking at? All it is a spreadsheet showing impact fee per 1 ERC. The blue chart,
Small little.
On what page? Right there.
I wouldn't know, we have it in 4 separate documents. We're looking for this,
At this one,
that's what we're looking at.
okay, that's what I thought. It doesn't say. Yeah,
We're looking at that, and so April is pointing out that you had proposed a wastewater fee where current impact fee, there was no wastewater fee.
yes, and yes, we did do the calculation as if we were going to, at some point, be in the sewer business.
Oh, okay, all right,
So really. we take
So that's
3,500
that's no-
off.
that, so we take that out.
Yes, that's not, no longer valid.
Okay, and then, so I want to look at the same chart, what you have for culinary water, we have culinary water, and then you have the word source in parentheses, and then distribution and storage. We're looking at the same chart. We're still looking at the same chart, Rod, I'm still looking at the same chart.
And
First
which,
two,
what does it say?
culinary water, distribution and storage, that's the top line of the same chart you were just
Oh,
looking at.
sorry, I am the road race guy. There are multiple.
We could not find the study. And so we've been looking for what happened to the study, because I had the study like 5 months ago, sitting in my office. I have all the impact fee studies that have been done for the town, and I had that one, and that one walked away. So we've been looking, and, right before I uploaded it to, and sent the text message to all of you, I said to Crystal, I bet it's in the SharePoint from the packet from 2019. So she found it,
Wow.
and she uploaded it and printed off a copy for Rod, so Rod's just looking at it for the first time in years.
So I'm now looking at this one. And it says culinary water storage and distribution, source, roads and streets, parks and recreation.
No, that's not what mine has. Okay, different, you're looking at a different chart. What does it say at the top? Turn it around so we can see it. Let's do that. Oh, that's the summary we were looking at.
right.
What page are you on, Gene?
I'm looking at that one, but he's looking at a different page. There's nothing else. But it's okay.
Steven's got it. He's on this one. No, she's on this.
That's,
Perfect.
okay.
He's on the summary. So the document that says summary.
Now we're on.
Now you're at the same. Go for it.
But this is the impact fees that those were the previous impact fees.
Right.
Those are not your new proposed impact
No.
fees. Why are we looking at this page? I was looking at a different page. and we were-
So, yeah, I find it
Why are we looking at this
interesting.
page?
The page we're looking at right now.
I've got the one that you want to look at.
Oh, I
So
went back and got the other. Sorry. Go ahead.
culinary water distribution and storage, the current impact fee is 4,291, and the proposed amount is 3,697.
That was gonna be my question. Why? Why
Why
would
is
you
it gone
reduce it?
down? And then what's the difference between distribution and storage and source?
That was my question. That was what I was leading up to, if we could ever get to the, all looking at the same page. Was what I believe source was the fee that we charge for Water Conservancy District,
Yeah.
which we no longer charge.
Yeah, that number, that 2,525 is their old number.
Right, so this 4060 would have been the fee for water conservancy. So if we take out 4060, which is, we would no longer charge today because the Water Conservancy District charges their own impact fee. Roads goes up, parks goes up, we don't do wastewater because we're not on a wastewater system. Then the question is, why did the fee go down? Or
I really need to look at that because that's not possible. In the big picture, there has to be some connection with the Water Conservancy District and what portion.
I wonder if it got deleted, it got subtracted instead of added.
Well, so if you look at the difference, the proposed difference, it almost has those two culinary waters combined.
Yeah, if you add them
into the
together,
proposed
the
difference.
proposed amount is more.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the proposed amount doesn't matter because the source
It's gone.
is gone.
Right.
So the real question is, why did the distribution and storage go down?
yeah, and I can't answer that right this second.
Okay,
Well, we need to kind of know that.
if we're gonna do this,
adopt these,
right, so the wastewater fee would be gone, culinary water source fee would be gone, and those two together are $7,811. So that makes, if you take those out of the 18,270, we're not too different from the
Not
current
really.
impact fee.
Not
It doesn't make much difference at all, does it?
Not much.
Okay, so if we look at that, then maybe there's no point in,
I gotta go back, I'm just looking at the impact fee study.
okay, it may be that there's no point in trying to adopt any new fees if we get rid of fees. And, the difference is negligible. The only thing I wanna know is, when I'm looking at 2005 impact fees,
Hmm.
we had a fire protection impact fee that we charged. We had a police protection impact fee, and of course, I can see why that went away, because we no longer have the contract with the police. I wonder if this is when we had our, before we joined the Hurricane Valley Fire District, I bet that's what that is. Okay, so that would explain why that's gone.
So if we're going to adopt impact fees, maybe we should just make this so it's current and.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
one of the things that I need to do is update the dates if nothing else. Because the code requires an impact fee study every 5 years.
Yeah, this is where it sits.
Where it sits on the date of this one.
And by the time we have
Yeah.
one next year, we're gonna be at 7.5 to 8 years.
But
by the
I
time
can
it's done.
take what is here.
Uh-huh.
Do some quick analysis. Repackage this and get it ready for approval. Of
Is that legal?
course it is. I'm a town engineer.
So he's doing, it's an impact fee study, it's just.
Yeah. Mayor,
Yeah,
if I may, yeah, Rod can refresh that study and analysis as long as it complies with, and there have been a few little changes with Utah's Impact Fee Act. But one of the things, like what Rod, and I think to answer one of your questions that you had was, how did water go down? Well, at the time Rod made his calculations, he was anticipating on his capital facilities plan, one of the water capital facilities was the second water tank, which we now are funding with, other ways. And he may look at that and say, if this project is underway, then that is not one on a future capital facilities plan. And maybe that's why his would go down. So there are things that he's gonna have to look at and make sure that the same projects that were kind of on the planning horizon back in 2019 are still on the planning horizon.
So you'll do that then, Rod, I mean, go back through. and
Yeah.
we can
Yeah,
Add it and.
so it's,
adopt
would
those.
it be possible, so, are we gonna have to have a public hearing in order to adopt the ordinance?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so we could either do this in either August or September, with a public hearing, maybe would you recommend that we wait and do this in September? Or do you think you could be able to do whatever it is you need?
I want to try and get this done as soon as possible.
August?
It
Okay,
feels
so
like
maybe
every day
August.
is losing it up.
Okay, so we might be able to have a public hearing in August and
Yeah.
adopt this.
We could do it in August, if it doesn't get it done, we'll do it in September.
Yeah, let's shoot for August.
We've already got other things we're doing as a public hearing in August, so we're gonna do quite a few things, okay?
That smile worries me.
It's capital improvements plan that, the adoption of the 5-year plan.
Oh, well,
That would be that.
We've already did that work.
that makes me happy.
Rod,
Let's go
Rod,
ahead
I,
and do that.
Rod, out of some advice, I would tell you, and I know you're familiar with what the DRC has put together. You'll want to look at that, compare that to what the future capital facilities identified in your study was back in 2019, because that would have predated the creation of the DRC.
The creation of what?
No, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
There is a new capital facilities plan that was put together by, he's saying DRC, but it's the.
Yeah, the capital.
Yeah, capital improvements committee.
Okay, by the way,
yeah.
in your study, didn't you recommend, when I skimmed through it, didn't you recommend that we charge by meter size?
Yes,
Okay, so can't we adopt the thing for meter size instead of per one ERC? Because remember, we had this whole issue with Virgin Goods because he's like,
right,
you're the only place in the county that doesn't charge by meter size and we charge per ERC.
right.
And so he's like, why don't you do this? And I went back, even the 1997 impact fee study recommended that we charge by meter size. And every impact fee study since then has said meter size. And what do? We charge by ERC.
Right, and we recommended go to meter size in this study.
Okay, so
So yes, in the context of going away from the ERC calculation to a meter, we absolutely have the data for that.
okay, were you gonna say something, Heath?
Yeah, Mayor, so, and I want to make sure that I understand that, because I remember previous discussions. Meter size is fantastic for residences and things like that. Rod, would you still say that, there has to be some sort of conversion from residential use to commercial use, or is it just straight meter size?
Well, it's straight meter size, assuming that our residential, is only the 3/4.
It is.
We do not
You
do,
have something to want?
We have some that are gonna go up more than one, or more than three.
on residential, well, I know the one.
No, yeah, that's gonna be an issue.
So typically, the intent would be that residential is all 3/4 inch services. We do have a couple of exceptions to that in the residential. But this was calculated assuming, and you can see the big jumps. Assuming commercial usage.
Gotcha.
But we also have commercial usage, so quite a few of our commercial is 3/4 inch.
So they're actually on the residential bill.
That's the problem.
They're, okay.
We have a lot of our commercial that are 3/4 inch. And that's gonna be the issue is because they're 3/4 inch commercial.
Well, again, I think we just do it by, if you want to, we can just do it by meter size. And if we have a commercial developer that comes in and only needs a 3/4 inch, essentially one ERC, maybe that gets us to 2, then that's what we
So how
charge.
do we change their water billing then?
No, we're not gonna change anybody's water bill right now.
Well, no, because we bill them X amount of ERCs in their water bill.
Right,
Oh, well, you'd have to talk to Water Conservancy.
Right. no, that's us, that's how we do it,
I understand,
That's us, not
That's
water
us,
conservancy.
yeah.
but
On the billing.
I'm saying the Water Conservancy District charges by meter size. They probably know how to set up the billing to charge by meter size. So you probably just need to talk to the county department of Water Conservancy District and say, hey, how do you guys do this? Because they use Casella.
and that's probably true also, but I get. I'm gonna need to evaluate that too.
Okay.
Because I think that the residential 3/4 inch size has been used beyond 2 ERCs. Routinely that commercial stuff. Right,
Yeah,
but we still charge based
Right,
on
and we-
ERCs.
So we'll charge them 2 ERCs, but they've got a 3/4 inch meter. Is that what you're saying? Or we'll charge them 3 ERCs or 4 ERCs,
I'll have
but
to
they're
get
still
into
using a
that.
3/4 inch.
I'll have to get into that
Okay,
to reconcile that.
okay.
Because if we have commercial users with a 3/4 inch meter, I'm gonna have to do separate. I think the best way to do that will be to separate them completely, starting with 3/4. And doing a commercial rate for all the various meter sizes and a separate one for residential.
well, and that's where we would charge them, like, what we charge them now, they still get the 3/4 inch meter.
Right,
They still pay the 3/4 inch meter impact fees, but when it comes to the ERC and their water bill,
there was,
they still pay ERCs on their water bill.
yeah,
If that makes sense.
I understand.
I get it. I get it. This is so confusing, but I
I
know.
know, I got it, I got it.
You have to be on the side and
Yeah.
just so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll get it figured out.
Well, yes, we will get it figured out. So hopefully we'll have something by August and then not September. Okay. Okay, so second item on the agenda, Heath, we need your input on. Since our new town manager is also going to be the director of community development, but we do not have a community development department. How do we create a community development department? Do we do it by ordinance? Do we just say, hey, we have a community development department, and there it is? How do we do that?
If it is going to be a utility-based, department, it has to be by ordinance. I would
But they-
probably suggest that the, something like community development probably also should be by. Most cities, you'll see their departments are created by ordinance. It identifies key leadership. It identifies its purpose and scope. It identifies that it will have its own separate budget within the town's overall budget. So I would suggest that community development be its own department
Okay,
created by ordinance, sorry.
established by ordinance, that's what I wanted to know. And so, the only thing I found when I was looking around at ordinances adopting, a community development department, I could not find anything in Utah. All I was finding something in Colorado, and all they said, it was 2 paragraphs, and we hereby create a community development department. And they voted, that's like the entire ordinance, and so I'm like, okay, surely it's not that, it's gotta be much more than that.
They have them all across the nation, different community development departments.
So I just need to know if we need to, we were trying to get this done before the town manager starts, he's gonna start September 22nd.
Mhm.
And so I was hoping to get this department created and us create a job description for the director of community development, since he's also going to be the director of community development, and I think that we should have this in place before he starts.
Well, my question is, that would be nice, but do we really need to have it in place before it starts?
I don't know, I was.
Do we
thinking
want to get his input in the development of that department?
I like Paul's thought process there. I was thinking the same type of thing.
Okay.
Not that we want him to write his own job description per se,
Definitely not.
but having his experience in what, working in multiple community development departments with other municipalities, although not in the state of Utah. I think he has some fantastic insight.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, then I could go ahead and, send them an email, and I hate doing that. Crystal and I were talking about this the other day, and she was like, why don't you ask him this, why don't you ask him that? Because it's not employed yet. And
He
he's
hasn't
still,
started yet and we're not paying him.
he doesn't start, second, I don't wanna put it, but I think this is something I could probably ask him about the creation of a community development department job description. No, whatever, you get one, this smile on the girl, it's like, what, are you laughing at me, or what's the deal?
You can tell them when you come in, this is one of your first duties.
Okay, well, that I could do too, okay.
He might be listening
And
and
he's
already
probably
on
watching, watching for you, watching, he's already watching later. So, these guys.
But yeah, let's get his input on it,
Okay.
and however it's created, we're the final decision maker.
Yes.
So I don't have a problem with him writing
Putting it
it,
on,
we'll
okay.
just review it and decide whether we
Okay,
agree or not.
all right, then I'll wait, and I just didn't know if we needed to do it, that's why it's on the agenda for us to talk about
It's
it.
good to keep it fresh in our mind and what we want to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, so Rod, I was just looking through that impact fee study quickly, and you've already set it up with residential and commercial split,
Yeah,
and you've got meter size under the commercial, so.
well, there's two different charts.
You got meter
Yeah.
size for residential?
Well,
meter size for-
residential is
Go-
one
go on.
amount for ERC, and then you've got commercial set up by meter
By
size.
meter
And
size.
that's under storage and distribution, and residential, commercial source is just the same, and we're getting rid of that anyway, so,
Gotcha.
okay.
Okay, so it shouldn't be hard
It's
to,
on, under section 2,
No,
So you already did part of it.
you already did it.
you already did it. It's early.
Just updated it.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
okay, so, all right. So, Heath, we are now on to reviewing the ordinances, and you said you had wanted to talk to us about the ordinances that came from planning commission?
Yeah, I just reviewed them today, and as we go over them, there are a few comments that I have on each of them. That's all.
Okay, so first off, by the way, is Darwin on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I need to know from Darlene. Is the parking lot ordinance that they did last night an amendment of this parking lot ordinance that we were sent in May, or is it a different ordinance altogether?
Shirley?
It would be a replacement. It
Okay.
includes everything there, plus the definitions, plus some specifications about parking lots and commercial. And we're going to be talking about that next week.
Okay, so where I have this in our SharePoint as 4A, then we're just gonna skip that altogether because she just said they're replacing the ordinance. And so when you asked if they were working on the ordinance, I'm like, no, well, obviously they are. Okay,
So to clarify, what is in this one is also in the next one.
okay, all right, so Heath, did you have anything about the one about the parking lot ordinance that you wanted to talk about? Since Darlene is listening in, she might hear, and Kent is here, they can hear if you have anything. that
Yeah,
you-
I wanted to make sure, so what's in this version right here, I was a little bit unclear. We're listing public parking lot as a prohibited use. However, I don't know if I saw where there is a definition of public parking lot.
Exactly, and that's one of the changes we're making in the revised
okay.
ordinance.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
and
where
that
that
is-
would have been my suggestion, that
Yeah,
we
and-
need to add to
correct.
chapter 2, section 12, our definition
Correct.
section.
Correct. And that is available both on our packet from our meeting last evening, our public hearing meeting, if you want to preview it, or on the
Okay.
public website for our public hearing last evening.
Okay. Good
He
to know.
has access, Darlene, he has access to planning commission's
Yeah.
SharePoint, so he can see
And
it.
it-
I can look
yes.
in your SharePoint.
Yeah, it would be in 2025 July public hearing or PH folder.
Perfect.
Okay, so then the next one is, the ordinance to reinstate open space, what we have on my agenda, in SharePoint as 4B. So just so you know, Heath, because you had looked at these earlier today, what I have in SharePoint, and very shortly before the meeting started, Darlene emailed me clean copies of, these three, A, B, and C ordinances, and so the clean copy is now uploaded to SharePoint.
Okay, PDF or Word
Yes,
or
let me
both?
see. It's a PDF.
PDF.
It's the first, out of the 4Bs, is the very first one.
Okay.
Okay, so did you have anything you wanted to say about that one, Keith?
Well, if you will notice on, yes, I did. If you will notice, if you were to look at what we have for the longest time within the town referred to as VULU, if you were to look at the chapters, a lot of the different zoning district chapters, we did not have a list of prohibited uses. And we have case law in the state of Utah, which I know that anytime someone wants to challenge something as not being one of our permitted or conditional uses, I've seen them challenge the concept of you putting prohibited use, having a section that says prohibited uses, all those which aren't permitted or conditional.
Are hereby prohibited?
Yeah, and so this is one of those where I can see, and this is one of the older zoning districts, which kind of was deleted, but we still have property zoned open space. In my opinion, I think there is a fantastic reason to have open space, that zone still available and an active zone within our town. I just would like to see that we add, and that would be my only direction to the planning commission, is that we have prohibited and specific prohibited uses, preferably listed as probably, plug that in as 48. And we've got to get we've got it in, but we've got to get the numbering correct also. It should be 16.48.02, 16.48.04. I would suggest that we plug prohibited uses in as 16.48.10 and move minimum area back. And my other suggestion was that we may not want, I think there's a policy reason behind promoting open space zoning. And I'm going to be honest with you, 40 acres as a minimum area for open space is the biggest minimum area requirement I have seen of any municipality in Washington County. Frequently it's 20 acres, some of them as small as 10 acres. So, and we know how much property we have in, within the municipal boundaries of Virgin, although we have a decently sized footprint with kind of the topography of things and stuff like that. I think we ought to look at something less than 40 acres, likely 20 and possibly even 10, as a promote open space within the town.
Yeah, if we went to 10, that would give us more areas around town that could potentially be
Absolutely.
designated open space.
And
40
that would be
acres.
eligible for it. Yes, absolutely.
And
those are my comments.
Heath, and just to clarify, what we did here is we simply reinstated what we had.
Yeah, I
And
know.
there was some confusion as to whether that was actually removed.
Oh, well,
Yeah, there,
I
there
think,
is-
I think that we should restate, um, reinstating and restating chapter 48, open space zoning district, and we can and should make modifications to it. I don't know that we have to reinstate it wholesale. We can reinstate it with modifications.
So if we add the section that you were recommending where we put some specific, prohibited
You
uses,
should.
we should list like, short-term rentals, hotels.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that, okay, all right, be very specific.
I thought
Those things that we're seeing most prominently kind of poking up or being inquired about, because that doesn't seem much like open space, does it?
And-
What was he saying on this? I was thinking.
And the planning commission would welcome ideas on what those prohibited uses would be from either town council or Heath Snow.
So
Um,
with this, oh.
One that I see as a frequent question that some cities that seem to be kind of a striking point of differences of opinions is whether or not you can have open mining operations or extraction, extraction type operations in an open space area. So that's one for you guys to think about whether or not kind of that type of open pit mining or, open face mining is something we want to allow to be allowed or questionably allowed, or whether we want to expressly prohibit it. So there's one for you, darling.
So should
Thank you.
So should we go ahead and potentially adopt this ordinance and then just let them amend it, or do we send it back? And have them amend it?
Is there anything pressing?
Well, it is pending.
Yeah, it's pending, but he just means, is there anything pressing, any pressing reason why we need to get this on done?
It's just that our motivation was that we have areas designated this, but we have no language about it.
Yeah.
And we feel for those areas, it's incumbent upon us to have language about it in our ordinance. So this was a starting point.
Yeah.
And we would be very open to a modification.
Yeah. I would probably say that we ought to, unless we know of any imminent applications for like conditional use permit in an in one of our existing parcels that are zoned open space. I probably suggest that
I think there may be one.
oh
Which we've
The one out on Sheep Ridge where there's that area of private land, and some potential developers came and spoke to me about a potential project there.
Yeah,
And
there's
that is still open space.
yeah, but I talked to those guys too, and there's no water out there, there's no electricity.
I understand that, but there's an example of
well, Darlene, I'm not suggesting that we kick it back and we just need to not let it fall off the radar that
well, it's still pending, so it has some enforcement.
Yeah.
I just wondered, since there was ambiguity about whether it was ever properly removed and may still be there, that we just get this done and then we revise it. I'm totally open to revising it.
Okay, but if we specify prohibited uses, will that have to go for another public hearing?
Probably. Okay, so we can adopt it and send it back to them to add prohibited uses and reduce the acreage. Okay.
And I have those 2 points down, Heath.
Okay.
Okay, so April has a question.
I thought we were looking at an ordinance that said if it's not permitted, then it's not allowed. Instead of having to write down everything that's prohibited.
But what Keith was saying, he'd go back and say what you were saying in the beginning about prohibited uses.
There's case law that says just we call that the catch-all prohibited use clause. And there is some case law in Utah that says that that is not necessarily enforceable. Anytime I go to Utah Municipal Attorneys Association conferences or league things, when we're talking into the deep dark crevices of zoning, there is the belief that we can still and should have that catch-all, but we should try to
Correct.
also list specifics.
And that is the purpose of the ordinance we had up for public hearing last night. Everybody on planning and zoning fully acknowledges that we need to revisit our lists of both allowed, conditional use, and prohibited uses, and it needs to be beefed up. But under the advisement of our advisor from on writing ordinances,
Yeah.
that he suggested we put that there.
Okay.
And
No,
it's a placeholder. We're not just gonna leave it there.
Yeah, it's you wouldn't be that dissimilar than a lot of small municipalities in southern Utah, but of having just the old catch-all prohibited use clause. But I think more often than not, if we see some common things that we as a planning commission and a council think we for sure do not want to be there, then we should expressly put them as prohibited. And that
Yes.
will help us. It
And
won't
we
let
agree
the
with
other
that.
side make that argument if we've got it in there.
Correct. And we agree with that. But that's a lot of work and a lot of discussion.
Well-
And so we wanted something there as we
Yeah.
work on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, so then the next ordinance is this live work ordinance. And
So before we go, are we gonna
I think,
pass this one and then
so.
ask planning commission to?
That's what I'm thinking. What do you think, April?
Sure.
So maybe when you were in favor of that too, okay. All right, so this one we'll put on the agenda, next week for us to vote upon, the open space ordinance. The parking space ordinance, they're still working on, the open space ordinance we'll vote on next week, and then that gives us the live work ordinance. So Keith, out of the stuff that's on SharePoint, the very first one for 4C, that's the clean copy. That we got from Darlene.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a lot of collaboration done on this one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I could tell that you guys have put a lot of thought into this.
So what did you have any comments on this one, Keith?
My comments would be, we're looking to insert in 16.2.12, the definition section, the term live work unit.
Yes.
I have some question whether or not we should be referring to it as unit or dwelling. Because we utilize the term dwelling
Okay.
in our ordinance. But we also utilize the term dwelling unit because there are situations where a dwelling is not a single structure type situation. So that was really about my only one.
And Heath, would that require another public hearing, or is that just a minor adjustment?
No.
So,
but I don't know that you want to a single dwelling unit, a man dwelling unit. Oh, apartment, hotel design. I don't know that I got, the live work building. See, and then you also have, I was a little bit confused. If you look, Darlene, down on
Hold
49,
on, let me get my computer.
sorry.
No worries.
Yes, we're looking at number 49.
Yeah, line 49.
Yeah.
Where it says after the amendment, dwelling unit is going to include one or more rooms in a dwelling, a live-work building, yet we don't have a definition of live-work building, we have a definition of a live-work unit.
So should we put unit there instead?
Well. No, I think it should be dwelling.
That's where to make these things so that it doesn't confuse.
So
I
wherever
wondered
we
whether
have,
we call it a live-work dwelling.
well, so
And
you're,
then under dwelling unit, you put one or more persons in a dwelling, apartment, or one or more person in a dwelling, a live-work dwelling, apartment, hotel. And that would seem to clarify that for me, because you've got live-work.
so you're asking us to replace unit in the body of the ordinance with dwelling.
Yes,
And that's something town council could do that wouldn't trigger a rehearing.
correct.
I don't think we
I
would have a problem.
I would consider, changing the wording from unit to dwelling is non-material. But I think that
Okay.
from clearly from a clarification standpoint, it's probably important that we have both of those mirroring, using the same term.
I see the value of that. I don't think there would be a problem with town council doing that if it wouldn't trigger another public hearing.
No, and I would suggest that that would be one of my recommendations at our business meeting when we review this, that change be made.
Okay, so I want to be sure I understand. So this word live, work, building that was added in here as a new word that does not have a definition. We're changing that to say what?
Okay, Mayor,
New work dwelling, okay. Yeah.
Mayor,
Yeah,
on line 39, we have live work unit. I'm
Yes.
suggesting that we change that to a live work dwelling
correct.
or live work dwelling unit. And then, I would probably say just live work dwelling, and then down on line 45 in the in line 49, after the amendment, dwelling unit would include a dwelling or a live work dwelling, comma, apartment, hotel.
Okay,
motel.
Live work, but
okay. So change building to dwelling.
I was not the author of that one. That was two other commissioners. So I'm speaking for them. That's not a criticism. It's just an acknowledgement that they did all the hard work.
Yeah.
And I can shoot them separate emails and ask them if they're okay with this, and
Yeah,
then send that information on to the mayor. I just like to respect the author of the ordinance.
so I totally agree, and it'd be great if they have any feedback or explanation, then that's something that ought to be uploaded to SharePoint for the council to understand.
So I'm going to send to those two people, just saying, at the recommendation of our town attorney, just for consistency and clarity, we're going to get rid of unit and always use dwelling. So that if they have a reason why they wanted unit, they can explain it.
Okay,
How does that sound?
Yep, we're gonna get rid of live work unit and the word live work building and just say live work
Live, work.
dwelling, both.
Live, work, dwelling throughout, just instead of unit or building.
Yep,
I think they'll be okay with it, but since they put in all the hard work, I want to, acknowledge that.
absolutely.
okay. So I got that. So the next one was passed last night. And this was, you guys sent it, you guys recommended this to town council, was the 4D, which is the next one on my SharePoint. And this is the one where I wanted to add the review of homes in short-term rental overlay zones to be reviewed by the DRC. And the title says also prohibiting DRC review of unlisted uses, but I'm looking at the ordinance and I don't see that in there. So where am I missing that?
I did not send that one to you.
You didn't, you
I
guys
did
didn't
not.
vote on?
Because that wasn't on my list of pending ordinances. It is now, but it was just added yesterday. So let me pull that one up in my SharePoint so I can see what you're looking at, okay?
Okay, but you guys did not vote on it, did not send it to us last night?
We did,
Oh, okay.
you know, let me, and I'll get my,
Email it to me.
I'm gonna get my notes. I'll get my notes, so I'm not making any careless errors, okay? Just hold on.
I see it, I see it now, but yeah, go ahead and get your computer, but I see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that was a 4-1. Because, and Karen, and the fifth person had a emergency and had to step out of the room at that time.
But you
But
guys
they were
are-
all, it was a 4 and 1 person was out of the room and there were 4 ayes.
So I'm not sure that I myself, so have you reviewed this one yet, Heath, 4D?
I have. I looked at.
Okay. I'm not, my personal opinion, I'm not in agreement about saying that uses that are not listed as permitted or conditional do not qualify for DRC review. I think people should be able to go and talk about potential projects. That's my feeling. I don't know what the rest of you think, but
You mean residential, DRC review of residential?
no, with the only
No.
residential that's gonna be allowed for, DRC review is a home in a short-term rental overlay zone. Otherwise, everything's commercial. Conditional use permit, oh, no, it's not.
Subdivisions
Some of-
too.
Okay, subdivisions, conditional use permits, okay, so there is some residential, sorry. So ask your question again, Heath, what were you asking?
Well, no, you were asking me, you didn't think that there should be language in there that says
Uses which are not listed,
applicable land use applications.
yes. Applications for uses which are not listed as permitted or conditional in the underlying zone do not qualify for DRC review. Instead, applicant may make a request for an amendment to the Virgin Municipal Code to be forwarded to the
No.
Planning and Zoning Commission.
No,
And can I explain the thinking behind that one?
yeah,
The thing, it was an effort to reduce costs for whoever the applicant is, because what the DRC would do is say, go talk to planning and zoning. And it's just saving them time, effort, and money by sending
Yeah.
them to us at first.
Darlene.
That was the thinking behind it.
Okay, so what are you gonna say, Heath?
Yeah, let me give a little bit of background behind the creation of the DRC and its purpose. In most cities, we give it a different name, but in most cities, our DRC is what's considered to be the Joint Utilities Committee or Joint Utilities Commission. And that is made up of all of the utility providers and the different, and if those utilities are provided by the municipality themselves, then it's by the representative from the different departments that provide that utility. And that should be required regardless of whether, if it is a commercial use or a subdivision or a conditional use, it needs to be reviewed because the purpose of those meetings, now our DRC and its scope has grown to something like George Washington would have never thought of the federal government to be. Our DRC has taken on a body and a life of its own, but it should be the utility providers looking at people's plans, commercial plans, not a residential plan. The building inspector can look at a residential site plan and building plans, but the DRC needs to be looking at other things where there needs to be a coordination of utilities. There needs to be their purpose is to identify upfront possible issues where future plans, once prepared, are going to get kicked back and not signed off on. And it's a way for everyone to get feedback, and then it's a way for these utility providers to sign off on sets of plans on a regular, consistent basis. And so we need that even on permitted uses, because if we have a zone, for instance, the commercial zone, and it says that a permitted use is a convenience store.
But we agree with
That's
that.
gonna require DRC review regardless whether it's permitted or not.
But
Okay,
but
but
our-
hold on, let me
okay,
talk.
okay.
So what this says is uses that are not listed. These are completely unlisted uses. They're not permitted, they're not conditional. The people are coming in with a use that's nowhere allowed in town and they wanna go to DRC. And this says uses that are not listed do not qualify for DRC review. And I was saying, I think even if it's not a listed use, that they should be allowed to go to DRC. That's the difference. So if it's not, and it says instead, they may make a request that the town code be amended. And go to the planning commission first before they would turn around and go to DRC. That's what this actually says.
Yeah,
And
I missed the knot on that.
Okay, you missed it
Yeah.
on, okay.
And I apologize for my long
and so
ramble there.
the rationale of the writer of that one was it would save time, money on everybody's part just to have them ask for that change, because all those utilities and they aren't, and the utilities are very good in their wheelhouse, but they are not as familiar with the code as we
So
are.
one of the concerns was that people would go to DRC with a use that's not listed and get the utility companies to say, sure, we can do electricity, sure, we can do sewer, sure, we can do whatever. And then the person thinks, well, they're gonna be allowed, and then they go to the planning commission, and planning commission says, no, we're not gonna allow that as a use. And so there's a concern about that. So what's your thought on this?
I would. Yeah, my question is who determines, as the way it's written after amendment, so I'm looking at line 58 and down to line 62. Who makes the determination whether or not their proposed use is permitted or conditional in the underlying?
The code.
You just look
The
at the
code.
code. You look at our code, like,
But somebody has to make that.
Is staff making that determination? Because there are plenty of things that come to the town that are like, is this similar to
yes,
this specifically listed permitted use, or is it more not like it? And that's either, well, first of all, I would say our director of community development, our new incoming director of community development, is probably the one who could easily and quickly at a staff level make that determination. But if not, then it needs to be somebody like a planning commission.
and that's what Paul was just about to say. He thought it should be planning commission make that decision.
Yeah, somebody
But we have
initially
to-
needs to make the determination how close it is. And if it's one that's not similar, then, or can't fit in it, you send it to planning commission.
Yeah.
Do that with the zoning administrators for to determine.
I think the thing should be is that there first needs to be submittal of a conceptual of any of those things listed there. And a conceptual determination by the director of community development. If they disagree, if they think that they are similar to a permitted use or something like that, and they don't agree with the director of community development, then they can appeal it to the planning commission.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys an example of, something that I just told somebody that we would put them on the DRC, and that's Tom Lacoste. And he wants that duplex. And the reason I put Tom Lacoste on DRC is he's gone to each utility company and gotten agreements for this or this or this or whatever. And I wanna get him with all of the utility companies to say, this is not what we said, or this is what we said. Because he's got documents from the utility companies, and I read them one way. And he says, no, it says this. I said, no, it says this. And so that one, I want to go to DRC so that we can get clarified from the utility companies, what are they saying in these documents, yes or no?
But doesn't he have a hurdle first to get over with, is to get the duplex allowed in a particular zone?
I agree,
And so why should he waste the time of the utility companies
because
and
he's
our
claiming,
DRC meeting?
because he's claiming that these utility companies have approved doing this duplex, and I'm like, that.
But
Hey,
they can approve doing a duplex, but they gotta get our approval first.
I understand, but this is going round and round in circles, and finally I decided the best thing to do is get all of us in the same, because he keeps going back to the utility company, going back to the utility company, and I want us all in one.
Yeah, but getting down to his, even if the utility companies say, yes,
I understand,
They-
it doesn't get in a duplex because we don't allow a duplex, I understand.
so what Darlene is trying to do is to prevent matters going to DRC ahead of it, so we're not wasting DRC's time and making people angry because now they have to come back to planning and zoning.
Okay.
So she's just saying go to planning and zoning first.
And I'm just telling you, Tom Lacoste, I wanna make an exception, because many
Well-
times as I have talked to him, I need to get him to DRC. That's just my thought. If you guys wanna talk to him and come up with a different thing, you
But
can, but
let's
I'm
say-
telling you, it's
but let's
stuck
say
to this. How many
DRC
times
says-
we talk?
let's say DRC says, sure,
No,
we can
no,
do all
no,
that,
no.
we can do all that, that's still not permission.
I want clarification from the letters that they have, that he has. I just want them to clarify what they said,
Okay,
because he's reading it one way and I'm reading it another. He's reading it as a yes, I'm reading it as a no.
Well, you could add a different provision in there, or go to DRC as submitted by town council, or by the mayor, or by city.
Well, in the future,
Or town manager, you can create that one additional item, number 7.
well, okay, we could do that, but I was gonna say, I agree with saying that either the director of community development who's coming in, or the planning commission should make this decision, but we're about to.
What do you need? What do you need?
No, we're talking about who would make this decision as to whether or not, it qualifies. And whether or not it's a permitted or conditional use. We said somebody has to make that decision. And we said it's either going to be the new director of community development or maybe the planning commission. We haven't decided that we're discussing that. But I'm saying if we're about to pass this on Tuesday, and I've already told Tom Lacoste he can be on DRC 3 weeks from now, I don't wanna pass this and turn around and say, oh, well, he can't go to DRC. I already told him.
You already told them it's gonna be on
Yes,
DRC.
yes. Okay.
And
Okay.
Can I
Okay,
I
that's-
interject that I think that body ought to be planning and zoning. Because I think we have the deepest knowledge of our code.
Okay, well, he'll have good knowledge of our code really quickly. He will. But, I mean, it's easy to look at your list and say, what's permitted, what's conditional?
And Darlene, I would probably disagree with you on that point for a couple of reasons. First of all, the planning commission is a body that meets twice a month. The community development director is present and available to make a determination like this in real time. And planning commission members are appointed, and then serve their term out, and our hopes is that we have a town manager and a community development director who wears both hats be here for a long period of time that spans planning commissions and commissioners' terms and stuff like that. So I think that we ought to say on line 58, it says applications for uses which are not listed as permitted or conditional in the underlying zone as determined by the Director of Community Development do not qualify for DRC.
And I would just agree with just having a single person make that determination, who may be wonderful, but who may not. And right now, until I'm sure he's wonderful, but I don't know him.
Well, Darlene, what I've seen in the past is that you have the zoning director and community development director make determinations if they're similar, or if he has a concern or question, then he refers it to the planning commission.
Or
she.
if the planning
Or she.
commission disagrees. You know?
No,
No?
you don't, the planning commission does not get veto power over a director of community development. You gotta
Okay.
back the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna have it at staff, then we gotta back our staff, and we don't have veto, just like the mayor, if the mayor didn't agree to it, or the council, they can't pull back the director of community development's determination on whether it is substantially similar to a permitted or conditional use.
I suppose that if the town disagrees with the determination, they can appeal it.
We can appeal it.
Yes,
Okay,
so.
Okay.
so I think that's how it works, Darlene, if the town looks.
Okay.
And he's way out of line in his determination that it's similar. Let's say he wants to put in a heliport and he thinks it's similar to something else, and we think it's way off base, and we can appeal it.
and so do we need to add language in here that says the
No.
town?
Yeah.
That's
No,
under,
because it's already there.
but that's under the appeal authority. We
Yeah,
would
that's under
appeal that
appeal.
decision to our
All
appeal
right.
authority.
Okay.
Okay,
I think too that if we're gonna make a special dispensation for Tom Lacoste, he needs to understand that whatever DRC says, it's not approval.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think since the mayor's already told him he's going to DRC, I think he goes DRC, but we pass this and applies to everybody else.
Yes, right, all right, okay, all right, so what do
And
you?
Paul, could you maybe remind him at that DRC meeting that they're reviewing, utilities and access and things like that, and that this is in no way an approval of the use itself within the zoning district where his property is located.
And I think he knows that. I think he's just trying to, that there's, as I understand, there's some discussion of adding dwelling units coming forward.
Yeah.
Right, Darlene, that's coming up in an amendment somewhere?
We have,
You guys are
we have
looking
a
at.
couple of proposals that
Okay, yeah, so,
that we're discussing. Several that allow Mr. Lacoste options, none of which he seems amenable to.
yeah,
Okay, so basically there's some ordinances addressing this issue.
that will come to us and we'll have to make a decision.
Okay, so Ron wanted to say.
I just wanted to ask Keith a question. Keith, our staff has interpreted the DRC as essentially a legislative body. And
What
as a
staff?
result, they are counting reviews at DRC as the actual reviews that we're allowed to conduct on any given development.
What?
This doesn't really apply, does it?
What do you mean?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm not sure I understand.
So let's just give the example. If this gentleman comes into DRC It counts as a review.
Plan review or?
It counts as a plan review.
Oh. Did you?
And as such, do we have a limitation on how many reviews we can do? I know there is a limit on the subdivision because the state did put, different, put limitations on that. But in this particular case, this would be well, the conditional use.
It's not any use that's allowed in town.
It's not a use.
It's not.
So are we ticking off a review cycle?
No.
No. I would say no.
Dave?
Yeah, I think we need to make it clear that DRC review is a conceptual review. And,
Yes.
and it's almost like a pre-review. Your application isn't complete until you've done a DRC review.
Yeah, and I'm
So that they
totally
can-
up with that
So that they
aspect.
can conceptually kind of identify possible potholes in the road for
So
them.
do we, so,
And I like the word conceptual.
yeah, and so if this is gonna be part of, before your application is complete, that you have to go to DRC, and get a DRC review. Where do we put that? Language that this is not, your application is not complete until you, given the problem we had with what was a complete application recently. I'm just wondering if we put it in like a municipal code somewhere,
We
where would
would put it,
this?
we would put it into municipal code.
Yes,
We would,
that was my
And
thing.
it would be in chapter 16.
oh,
But
So it would be in land use.
we would want it to go in under both the chapter on subdivisions. We would want it to go in on chapter under conditional use permits. And I'd have to sit and think through that, but it would be a very easy change.
Yes.
Just to say that your permit, one part of your application is that you have to go to the DRC and get a conceptual review and feedback from them. It's just like a box you have to check so that they know that that is not like one of our 4 review.
okay, that makes sense. Okay, so basically, we just go and look at the DRC, look at everything. There are 6 listings here of what goes to DRC and go to those necessary chapters and add in the stuff.
I got it,
Yeah, you got it. Okay,
because I'm anxious to fix some of this.
all right. So.
So just for clarification, that would also now include the short-term rental overlay, which is closed.
I'm about to ask that. So line number 69, Heath, do you have any objection to us adding homes in the short-term rental overlay zone as going to having to have a review with DRC?
No, I know.
Okay, so that will include homes in the short-term rental overlay zone, so we have to amend that.
Even though it's closed, it still exists because we still have them.
Right, we
Correct.
got
We
somebody.
still
who
have
just-
2 and the possibility of 2 more developments that could have that.
Yeah, they brought in the plat map today for one of them. Okay.
So I have 3 areas here: subdivision, conditional use, and short-term rental overlay. Would
No,
this
just
also,
look
would this,
just-
just go to DRC and look at who has to go there? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, just look at because we just now have 6 things that go to DRC. And all you have to do is give me the necessary chapters where we talk about that and add this in, that's all.
And you said there were 6 areas, right?
Conditional use permits, subdivisions and amendments, commercial site plans and amendments, lot line adjustments, home in the short-term rental overlay zone, and road dedications. Those all are they're listed right there
All right.
in this ordinance.
Okay, and I'll clarify that with you, Mayor, at another time, just to make sure we get it right, okay?
Got it,
Mayor,
okay.
Mayor,
Yeah.
while we're on review of this 4D, that list of 6 things that you just read off, number 5, homes in the short-term overlay zone, it should be
Yeah.
dwellings dwellings in a short term.
Dwellings in short.
Okay.
As much as it's easy and commonplace for us to use the word homes, it's just for whatever reason in our statutory scheme, we've chosen to use the term dwelling.
Before we go on, just, there is one provision that I'll send to Darlene that I think was dealing with this. If a question arises concerning an appropriate classification of a particular use, the community development director may submit the question to it could either be town council or planning commission, depending on the community use statement, to determine whether the particular use is the same or so similar as to be interpreted the same as a listed permitted or conditional use.
So you wanna add that?
No,
in there?
that's something, in making such a determination that the planning commission must find the criteria in such and such sections of them. So going back to Darlene's question about, who does that, it's usually the community development director. And then you set out criteria that he can refer to.
And where
Where
do we put
we
that?
would have to add that, and Keith, I would assume back in the zoning code somewhere.
Okay.
So I'll send it to Darlene, so she.
Thank
can-
you.
We would have to add that paragraph in each zone, like each
No,
residential zone.
no,
Just the ones that apply here.
Yeah, it's interpretation of uses, yeah.
So one other quick thing, wherever you have short-term rental overlay, I think we should have zone behind it, like
Yeah,
line 5, and then there was another, what do you call it?
add the word zone.
On 29, at STR overlay should have zone,
Okay,
simple.
okay.
Thank you, April.
Okay, so then there's just one, this ought to be simple. 4E is an ordinance that was just deleting, the section in, our code in chapter 2 with, deleting the complaint procedure. Because it's so, complex.
Owner,
And
Yeah.
onerous. Yeah, it's just onerous, and then we were wanting to then go to the municipal code. Add whatever is the appropriate chapter, just take this out of land use. And put the procedures to file a complaint in the, in different section of the town code. I don't see that it belongs in the land use code. Housekeeping. Yes, purely housekeeping. So we want to delete it out of, Bulu. And I'll go ahead and use Bulu, but we're gonna delete Bulu and put it in the municipal code. But it'll be a different procedure.
so this ordinance simply deletes it from the land use ordinance.
And that's it. That's all it does. Any issues there, Heath?
No, I was just trying to think where we would slot that into.
And I don't know.
Probably under administrative, what is that, our, title 2 or 3? I was just gonna pull up our code online and look at, but it's not relevant for tonight's meeting.
For tonight, yeah, it'll be in the future.
I agree, it's in section 2.
Two word, okay.
Yeah, administrative.
Okay, so that's all of that. That's everything that was, on the agenda for, the open meeting. But, Becky, you were here, were you wanting to talk to us about something? No. Okay, I just want to make sure you weren't here to talk about something to do with money. Okay. Okay, so
Do you have any more questions for me?
I don't think so. I had a note here that I was gonna talk about something with the cemetery that came up in my meeting with, Carolyn yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And now I don't remember what I wrote down cemetery. You know what it is? It's not that machine that she wants, that we can just buy, it's only $500. Oh, we can buy that, that's not what I was gonna talk about, but she and I talked about some other things about the cemetery. And I was gonna talk to the town council about it, because she wanted to come to a town council meeting and talk to us about something with regard to the cemetery, and I was gonna give you guys a heads up. And, now my mind is just like, as usual.
Would be good, because I haven't heard from her about the cemetery.
Well, I just, yeah, just yesterday, so I wrote these down, but it'll just have to wait till I talk to her again.
We'll come back.
Okay. All right.
All right, then I'm gonna
So,
say goodbye to everyone.
You're done, you can go, because we're now gonna close this and go to a closed meeting anyway.
Thank you, Darlene.
Do we want Becky here because of, oh, yeah, we have a total impact fees total, should you gave it to me, so we don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it backwards. Okay.
So no.
We'll tell you what we did.
Okay.
Okay, so, I will take a motion to close the public meeting and open the closed meeting, and then I wanna take a break cycle. So. Okay, I will say it. I make a motion that we close the public meeting and open a closed meeting. The closed meeting will be held at 114 South Mill Street here in Virgin, in this room where we are sitting right now in the old church. And the reasons for the closed meeting are strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property pursuant to 52-4-2051D1. And then also deliberations, acting in the capacity of the public body, acting in the capacity of an evaluation committee under the Utah Procurement Code to evaluate responses to a solicitation, and this is pursuant to code 52-4-2051 M as in Mary 1. And then lastly, to discuss the character, professional competence of an individual pursuant to 52-4-2051A.
I'll second that.
We will take a roll call vote. Is Misty online? Did she ever show up?
No, she's, texted me saying she is.
Never mind.
Service.
Okay, never mind. Okay. So April,
Aye.
Paul,
Bye.
Jean, yes, Valerie?
Yes.
Okay, so we will close this and then, Crystal is going to terminate this Zoom call, and then you'll set up, open the next. Okay, and then I am gonna take a break and go to the bathroom.